Hello everybody, welcome to Love and Light Opals, your one-stop opal shop. Today we're going to go over many types of opals. As you can see right here on the table, there is so many different types. So we'll go ahead and start with Australian, being the fact that Australian has a lot of different types, a lot of different fields, and very special opal. The first opal I'd like to start with is this very magnificent white opal. This is from Cooper Pedy, and this one was actually mined in what they call Olympic field. This is where some of the best examples of white opal is found, and this one just has phenomenal color. Cooper Pedy is also the, if not the highest producer of opal in the world. I'd say about at least maybe 75 to 80% of all white opal or opal in the world that's stable and good comes from Cooper Pedy. Okay, so Cooper Pedy also has other types of stones. It also has black opals and very dark crystal opals. This one's not from Cooper Pedy, but it's from the same region. It's from Mintubi. Unfortunately, Mintubi got shut down, so the mines are no longer open for mining. This one's a really nice big kingstone that I got directly from a miner a while back. It has beautiful blues that go all the way down to the back, and somewhat of what looks like a honeycomb pattern on the back, as you can see. It's kind of similar to, let me go ahead and find a honeycomb. Kind of similar to this, but both of these are very different. So in Lightning Ridge, they have a couple different types of black opal. There's a black crystal opal. This is a really good example. This one has what they call a popcorn flash, and that's another thing that you guys need to take into heed, is a lot of opals have different color patterns. There's chef patterns, there's broad flashes, like this one has a little bit of broad flash. There's a popcorn flash, which is really rare. This one has the popcorn flash in it. And there's moss patterns. There's so many different patterns, that I can't sit and just name all of them. But another really cool opal that I really like comes from Lightning Ridge. Lightning Ridge is where all the best and finest black opals come from, if not the best opals in the world. This one has what they call a flagstone pattern, or I'm trying to think the exact name, a ribbon flash. There we go. So flagstone or ribbon, I'm not too sure. You guys could tell me what it looks more like. And in Lightning Ridge, they're always discovering new patterns that they've never seen before, some that they don't even have names for yet. So there's that one. There's another really awesome one. This is a semi-black opal from Lightning Ridge. You can see, or I guess you could call it a gray base. This one has broad flashes with the, I guess, like the flagstone or stripe pattern. I have those two set in the same case because they're really similar opals. But check out the fire in this one. It's really beautiful. That one's in my private collection. We also have really cool opals like this one that come from Andamuka. This one is more or less a commercial grade. As you can see, the gem fire isn't as bright as the other ones. But this one, if you're looking closer, has pink fire that swirls in, and then a little bit more gemmy in the back. Beautiful stone. Andamuka has some really beautiful stuff. So So I told you guys there's opals that have broad flashes. This one is a broad flash opal, and you can see why. And when it has broad flashes, that basically means that it takes over the full face of the stone all in one churn and one spin. You really don't see a lot of really good broad flashes that aren't directional, and this one is definitely a gorgeous piece, a gorgeous example of broad flash from Andamuka. Andamuka is also known to be one of the most stable opals in the world, and also the most beautiful and vibrant crystal opal that you could find. And that's a really good example of crystal opal from Andamuka. This one was mined in this one was mined actually in Christmas fields. Okay, so some folks, they can't afford to get a solid opal, so we make these, which are doublets. And as you can see, it's basically backed with natural black opal. And this one's actually a doublet mosaic opal that still deciding if I want to cut into a few stones or drop a little cab in the middle and make a cool little art piece with it. And with doublets, basically what it is, it's a really thin crystal layer that's backed either on, they usually use boulder opal, which boulder opal is used because it puts out more carat weight than black opal potch, and yeah, so it makes a stone look a little bit more heavier. And personally, I like to use black opal potch because it's basically putting the opal back together and just giving it more backing, so when you put it in the setting it doesn't break. This one has a mixture of Allen's Rise, which is right here on my thumb, and then the pink fire that you're seeing is Andamuka, and yeah, the rest is, I believe, Allen's Rise from Cooper Pedy. So since we're speaking about Allen's Rise, let's go ahead and jump into a little bit of the fossil opals that are found in South Australia. This one was mined in Allen's Rise, Cooper Pedy. Allen's Rise is known for a lot of vertical fire, some dark black opals. A really good example of Allen's Rise that I have right now is this one, which is definitely gem quality. See the beautiful golds, reds, every color in the rainbow. Allen's Rise is also one of the most stable mines in Cooper Pedy that a lot of opal cutters are after. Fortunately, they don't find as much material there as they used to, so every piece got to be appreciated. Let's go ahead and jump over to fire opal. Recently I cut a kingstone from Mexico. This is at Magdalena Mines. And I've cut a lot of opal, and I have never cut one like this. This one particularly is a 40 carat fire opal from Mexico. Right now I have a number on it. It's a little bit over $4,000 is what the price is on this. And yeah, this is basically a 1 in a million. You won't ever see another fire opal this flashy, and if you do, good, that's really awesome, because it's really hard to find fire opals this big. To give an example of what sizes they usually come in, they're usually about 1 to 3 carat stones. This one's really awesome stone because it has a flagstone pattern, just like the Lightning Ridge material I was showing off. And what's cool about these is these are non-hydroplane opals, just like Lightning Ridge, but the difference between Lightning Ridge is they're sedimentary opal, and these are jelly opals. I think these ones are volcanic, if I'm right. So yeah, fire opal is volcanic opal, if I'm correct. And sedimentary opal, which is a completely different thing, is Lightning Ridge or Australian opal, which, let me find a piece of sedimentary opal. What's a good example? I guess this one is a good example, and I could talk about the fault lines. So, oh, there we go. So this one, as you can see, looks like it has cracks in it. But those aren't actually cracks, those are natural formations and fault lines in the opal as it was forming. As you can see, in between the fault lines, there's actually like little white dirt inclusions. Go ahead and zoom in a bit more so you can see what I mean. This was cut from what they call it witch's hat, knobby opal. Yeah, knobby opals are a little bit different than seam opal. Knobby opals usually come in big round chunks of opal, and seam opal usually comes in very thin flat face seams of color. You can see this one was cut from knobby opal. The reason why a lot more people want knobby opal over seam opal is because knobby opal has more depth of color, and that really counts when you're making a piece that you want a really nice high dome on. This is a really good example of a flagstone pattern from Lightning Ridge. Beautiful stone, probably worth somewhere around $700 or $800. At least that's what the miner graded it at way back when. I've actually had this one in my collection for about 3 years now. Yeah, it's a beautiful flagstone pattern and a very good example. Let's go ahead and jump into some American opal. This one was mined out of Louisiana. So this is a quartz opal. It's a whole different type of opal than the regular silica opal that we usually see. So it's very hard, very bright and beautiful with traces of really good precious opal that reflect against the quartz, which makes it really cool. Reminds me a lot of what they find out there in Andamuka. Andamuka, they have quartz opal that they find like this. Unfortunately, the Louisiana opal mines are actually closed for mining, so this stuff we actually really don't see too much more of anymore. They say the hardest opal in the world is Brazilian opal. This is a really good example. This is I believe it's a 9-carat stone. And it has really rare Princess Pinks. And they come in broad flashes if you get it at the right angle. There you go. Looks a little bit more red on camera, but in person it's pink. And next to Australian opal or Andamuka, this is probably the hardest and toughest opal in the world. They do hardness tests with opals, and usually opals are around 4.5 to 6 in hardness. This one actually was tested out as a 7.0 in hardness, which is really close, getting close to quartz hardness. So a lot of artists really love to work with Brazilian opal because of its beautiful colors. A lot of the colors honestly are just as nice as Australian opal, in my opinion. I'll leave you guys to leave comments below on what you think's the best and most beautiful opals out there. From my experience working with all opals, the only opals that's ever come next to the color in Lightning Ridge, and then again, this is just my opinion, would be a Boulder opal. This one is actually a whole completely different stone than what I've been explaining. This one has ironstone as the backing. And this is not a matrix opal. This is actually what they would consider a full face boulder opal, and it has broad flashes of neon green and blue. Very, very brilliant, very, very hard to find. This one was mined in Opalton, which is in Queensland, Australia, at the Dragonfly claim. And if you guys want to see more about the Dragonfly claim, watch Outback Opal Hunters. I really, really highly recommend opal lovers watching that show if they want to gain more knowledge and see the hard work that it takes to find opal. For most opal digs that they do in Lightning Ridge, for every 100 holes that they dig out, which every hole that they dig out, I believe, is about $70 to $100 in Australian. I'm not too sure how that comes out to in American money, but it gives you an example of the pain that miners have to go through in order to find these stones. I've heard that miners will keep digging, and God bless them, they'll keep digging for, I've heard stories up to 5 years without finding a single trace of opal. And imagine all the holes, the thousands of holes that they had to dig, and disappointments, and you know what I mean, just for them to keep going and for them to keep looking for opal. I really, really give them a lot of credit that they just don't stop looking for this beautiful, elusive opal. So when you guys are trying to get a good deal, just remember the fact, you know what I mean, when you're trying to get good prices on opals, remember the fact of all the hard work, the pain, the disappointments, everything that the miners went through just to get this one little baby stone. Not even talking about parcels of rough where they find nice kilos of that. That's almost 1 in a million. I'm just gonna go through some of these black opals so you guys can see the magic and what keeps them pushing to keep looking for the opals. It's the beauty in them. It's the uniqueness. It's the fact that not one opal that you'll ever pick up will ever be the same. And I think it's way beyond the money for opal miners, because if it was about money, I don't think that they would have wanted to be in this business, because sometimes the money just doesn't come when you're not finding opal, and just got to keep your heart at it and keep hoping that something will come up. So to all the opal miners in Lightning Ridge all over the world, I just give you total respect for the hard work that you guys put in, and for the fact that you guys just never give up. So here's probably the most excellent example of Queensland Boulder Opal Matrix that I have to offer. This one, I believe, was, and this is another thing that a lot of people don't know, is wood replacement opal is a thing. This one is actually, I believe this one came from a wood replacement, and you can still see some of the wood grain in it, and it just has some of the most magical and phenomenal colors. It looks like all the empty pockets in the wood grain were actually filled with silica, and it made all these magical, beautiful colors that you're seeing. It's been about almost 20 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and just explain the Honduras opals now, which this one is one of my favorites. I call it the violin pattern. As you guys can see, sorry, I had it out of focus a little bit, but this one is somewhat like a honeycomb pattern if you look at it from this way. And the way it was cut in a vertical way, so it could show the pattern right along, just like a violin. really beautiful. This one's a personal collection stone. And this is a volcanic seam opal from Honduras, one of the oldest mines on Earth. Very beautiful stone. Really wish we could see more material like this. It's very hard to get. Here's one that was cut by a really amazing and inspirational artist, Anthony Michael. I can't pronounce his last name, but Anthony, I really appreciate all the love and the knowledge that you have shared and showed me over the last couple of years of cutting opals. This is a cut from Anthony Michael. And he does awesome work, and he is one of the most inspirational teachers I have met in the opal business. Let's see what else I could show off before we end this video. I'll go ahead and show off one of the best fine, well, let's go ahead and show off this pink one. So this pink opal is actually a really interesting opal. It has iron traces in it, and it has a really bright, beautiful, I guess like floral honeycomb pattern. If you look real close, when I zoom in, you can see all the little red traces of iron in it, or could be copper. It's actually going to be tested here in a moment, or we should be getting results back soon. But this is a really interesting stone, probably a new find as for Walla opals. What's cool about this opal is when you wet it, it turns cherry red, and then all these colors go contraluce. And then when it's fully dried, it turns like a peachish pink color. And then all these colors return so beautifully. So, sorry I'm not really used to these presentations, and I didn't really have like a script or anything lined up for this presentation. Kind of just do it all off mind and hope that you guys appreciate what I do. With opals, you know what I mean, I really love cutting Lightning Ridge. In fact, this is one of my favorites from Lightning Ridge that I've cut, and one of the most beautiful patterns I've cut in a black opal. It's really small, but I really appreciate this stone. And I'm sorry, I'm getting a little lost in my words with all the beautiful opals in front of me. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I love and I appreciate all opals. I don't just collect Australian opals, because I feel there's so much more different, fascinating opals around the world that we all should see and we all should share. And I love the opals together, you know what I mean? So my biggest goal with opals is making them affordable for folks. I know sometimes they sell a little bit cheaper than I want them to, but my father sat me down and told me, you know, the biggest and best thing that I could do, and the best feeling that I could ever get, is watching the smile on someone's face after they light up from seeing the natural beauty in an opal, and the love that it brings to their life is just beautiful. I'll never pick another stone that could bring the love like this. I mean, diamonds are nice, but everybody already knows that they're a conflict stone, and you know what I mean. They're not everything that they've been telling us. Lightning Ridge opals, most opals, I mean, they're family businesses. Most miners that mine are 3-generational miners, and pass all the skills down to their kids. And that's one thing you'll never see an actual child like the way they do in Africa for the diamonds, mining opal and being used as slave trade. That don't happen with opals from Australia and around the world, and Mexico. Most opal people are really friendly. down-to-earth people. You know what I mean? You get your boogers here and there, but for the majority, most opal lovers are really, really kind people. And I think that's really, really why I love working with Opal, and the customers that I meet are just all amazing to me. They're just really, really respectful people. And yeah, I look at doing this for the rest of my life and making this the coolest one-stop opal shop for you guys, where you could find all the opals and very, very excellent examples. You know what I mean? And also, I will give you all the knowledge that you need before you even buy the opal, to let you know that the investment that you're making is good, and that your money was well spent when you come to Love and Light Opals, because these things could be so confusing, and the only way we could really love and appreciate them is if we know knowledge about them. So this is my opal video to you guys. I hope I explained everything well. I'm sorry if I got a little mixed up in my words. I'm not really the best at communicating skills, but I always try my best for you guys, and I think that's all you guys care about, is the fact that I do my best for y'all. So I just want to wish everybody much love and light. Go ahead and get the camera, show you guys my beautiful face and my long hair. Just kidding. I love you guys. Stay safe. If you do decide to mine, go rockhound. Just stay safe. If you do decide to cut opals, make sure you wear a mask, protect yourselves, and keep the opal love alive. Much love and light. Thank you for watching my video.